Well, let me tell you the tale of the truth behind the disappearance of Sargon of Akkad, or Sargon the Great. Our historical tale of him left off in 2836 BC, with him fleeing from his personal guards into the desert of Kandahar. I'm sure of this because the last city he passed through before disappearing was the Uruk. Just in case the audio doesn't translate that right, it's pronounced by spelling Yoruk. However, my part in this tale begins with me sitting in my room, alone, reading the emerald tablets as it seemed like there was a message to me hidden within them. Then I saw before me a diamond-shaped portal open, and within it was a man, Sargon, fleeing from his pursuers. Just then a sliver of a flash of light in my peripheral vision revealed a man who appeared on a white horse. He told me that he was there to help me battle against this nemesis, and that if I had any magic I may want to start casting my spells now. Another man appeared next to him, an older man who gave off the instantaneous realization that he was God without having to even ask. I told him that I only had what few spells were taught to me by druids, to prepare me for the return of the Dark One, an ancient prophecy of the return of an ancient enemy, but I did have some useful things I'd learned involving glyph magic. I began to get drawn into the diamond image, as if it was pulling my soul right off my body. I cast a spell of elemental conjuration and created a flaming tornado to mask our entrance, but I hid the spell within a delayed spell cast by setting the spell within glyphic runes that cast a mystical serpent that hid the spells inside it. The effect would delay the spell from being cast until we passed through the portal, and the spells would be hidden within the serpents, making it unknown as to where the serpents or the spells that were cast came from. It seemed like the right approach, considering I was expecting to be shackled or restrained as soon as we walked through. Sargon seemed confused for a moment, and we split into different directions to keep him distracted. Michael approached him ready to take him head on, and I looked at God and asked which way to the ocean. He pointed to the south and asked why, and I said, Maelstrom. He nodded, and off I flew towards the shoreline not far to the south. I had previous experience with storms, manipulating Hurricane Katrina, as I had caused the storm to pause off the coast of Key West so that the commercial airline I was on could continue on and not be delayed, as it was directly in our flight's path. I gathered the high and low pressures, condensed the precipitation and mixed the hot and cold temperatures between altitudes, and then bent the jet stream just a little so that it would carry the storm towards my target, and sent a gust of wind to carry the storm towards them faster. As this pressure system I molded traveled across the desert, it quickly picked up a wind, and by the time it arrived along with me, a vicious sandstorm had risen at the front of it. I returned ahead of it to find Michael in a sword fight with Sargon. Michael seemed uncomfortable fighting against his curved blade, and Sargon's pursuers caught sight of it first and yelled, Habib, as they scurried for the mountainside quite some distance away from the battle. The storm rushed over the two fighting, and that was when God stepped in. He told Michael to stand back. He had it from here. He walked up to Sargon, who was struggling, blind, in the desert sandstorm. God grabbed him by the throat and said, Hel bin Shaka, son of Ahmad Shaka. I gave you the gift of life, and this is what you have done with it. Look at the lives and damage you have caused with your petty ambitions for power. Look at what you have done to my garden. No more. I take back the gift of life that was given to you, and you will be no more. And God inhaled as I saw a stream of images blurred in a mist that came out of his mouth. God dropped his carcass, eyes rolled into the back of his head, and the look of sheer terror on his face. I said we couldn't leave him there. If someone found him, they could draw his spirit up from the other side and create a weapon out of it. God, what should we do? And I asked if they remember the tale of the city that went missing in the night, the city that was lost in the sands of time. I conjured forth 4 walls and set an endless cascade of labyrinths in all 4 directions around his body. Sealed him inside, and a roof with 4 more floors of maze hallways with no solution or exit, and entombed his body inside with no door and no exit. Then I conjured a Glam's hand that reached up and dragged the whole tomb into the sands, where it led to a microcosmic alternate universe hidden between the passing of seconds and surrounded with a drop into oblivion, or that microcosmic universe's primordial void basically. It seems the people in the nearby city of Uruk had seen some of this happen and listed it as a myth of the city of Im, the city that vanished in the night, swallowed by the sands of time. But it was not over yet. As we were preparing to leave, God and I were dragged into this pocket universe, and he took God hostage, freezing him in time on top of this pyramid structure. He stretched out his arms and a girl materialized as he said, "Fine then, I shall take God as my vessel then." He looked at me and said, "Stand in my way, boy," and she dies. I looked at him and saw what he was depicting in all this, playing as if he was Set, the Assyrian serpent god, and I said out loud, "I am the true serpent, from the first garden of the first man, and you shall not pass." Standing between him and God, I cast a spell of illumination yelling, "Sol Invictus," and kicked him in the face as he was blinded. He dropped the girl and fell back into the timeless void as I dove to catch the girl. Suddenly Mikhail appeared and grabbed my ankle and pulled us both up. Sargon wasn't through yet. He cast 4 spells of omens. 2 I deflected, but 2 got past me. Mikhail finished pulling me up after he grabbed and pulled her up. As Sargon faded into the darkness, so too did his magic as the spell that held God dissolved. We returned the girl from where he took her from, sleeping in a dream. He took her consciousness, and the last thing she remembered was a man like a lion leaping at her. She knew nothing of what had happened. This sounds like a hero's tale, but it doesn't have a happy ending. I returned to my body in time for a phone call from my daughter. She lost my grandchildren in childbirth that had suddenly came 2 weeks early. They may have survived, but the doctors ignored the standard protocol and did not perform a cesarean operation, and they died because of it. Enraged, I drew upon the most ferocious storm I could muster and sent it towards the coast of Los Angeles. I was aiming for the kid that had got her pregnant and dumped her. He was trying to leave the country. 1,500 lightning strikes in 5 minutes, and one had struck a commercial airline jet as it was taking off. That storm caused mudslides across Los Angeles and then went into the desert, strengthening to becoming a Category 5 hurricane over the open desert of Texas before veering north up the center of the U.S., to become known as the storm of the century, Hurricane Ulna, causing massive blizzards and hail all the way up to Canada. To explain this, let me add that Sargon could not have reached this era, or specifically target me, unless someone in this era had led him here. That was why I was drawn to those tablets in the first place.
I tell you, this bad weather has been relentless, so we want to get right to those mandatory evacuations out west as that new storm hits.
And take a look at this. The storm, it brought these powerful lightning strikes to California overnight. Amazing images right there. 1,500 pulses of lightning in just 5 minutes. And now the heavy rains could lead to mudslides. And our chief national correspondent, Matt Gutman, is in Montecito, California with the latest. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, good morning, Michael. We are right in the heart of the evacuation zone. This is what's called the red zone here. Now, we have seen the kind of rain that can unleash mudslides, and you got to remember that a year ago, that entire hotel was destroyed by mudslides. And everywhere we've gone here in Montecito this morning, we've seen roadblocks and road closures and police patrolling to ensure that people got out.
Whoa. Overnight, that lightning show illuminating the California coast as threatening rain and deafening thunderstorms roll in. Nearly 1,500 pulses of lightning recorded off the Santa Barbara coast in just 5 minutes. Those massive branches of lightning splitting the sky above Santa Barbara, shocking the darkness with blue light. Those powerful bolts striking a Delta flight headed to Seattle, forcing it to return to the Los Angeles airport, which was also struck, briefly losing power. Nearly a quarter of an inch of rain swamping roads, flooding parts of Highway 1 near Guadalupe, California. 3,000 residents in Santa Barbara County ordered to evacuate ahead of the downpour, preparing for those potential catastrophic mudslides near those fire-seared mountains.
Now, deputies have gone door to door yesterday trying to convince folks to leave. You got to remember, this area has 3,000 people living in it under mandatory evacuation areas, but this is the 6th or 7th time that they've been ordered to leave, and some folks have decided just to stay put again for this one. Guys.
All right. Thank you so much there, Matt.